Let's learn English idioms.
Arrive at.
Arrive at.
The plane will arrive at 10 a.m.
The plane will arrive at 10 a.m.
Not a few.
Not a few.
Not a few people attended the meeting.
Not a few people attended the meeting.
Get along with.
Get along with.
Do you get along with your colleagues?
Do you get along with your colleagues?
For a change.
For a change.
On Sunday, I fix a big breakfast for a change.
On Sunday, I fix a big breakfast for a change.
A moment.
A moment.
Just a moment, please.
Just a moment, please.
The other day.
The other day.
I turned in my paper the other day.
I turned in my paper the other day.
Much less.
Much less.
I can't speak English, much less German.
I can't speak English, much less German.
That is to say.
That is to say.
The event was held last Sun, that is to say May 3rd.
The event was held last Sun, that is to say May 3rd.
Give up.
Give up.
Don't give up before you try.
Don't give up before you try.
Change trains.
Change trains.
Do I have to change trains?
Do I have to change trains?
Hardly ever.
Hardly ever.
My grandmother hardly ever catches colds.
My grandmother hardly ever catches colds.
What's more?
What's more?
This dress shrank, and what's more, it faded.
This dress shrank, and what's more, it faded.
Intrude on.
Intrude on.
You should not intrude on his privacy.
You should not intrude on his privacy.
Look like.
Look like.
John just looks like his father.
John just looks like his father.
Contrary to.
Contrary to.
Contrary to my expectation, I couldn't win the first prize.
Contrary to my expectation, I couldn't win the first prize.
Take care of.
Take care of.
Who is going to take care of the goldfish?
Who is going to take care of the goldfish?
For nothing.
For nothing.
I got this ticket for nothing.
I got this ticket for nothing.
Burst out, ing.
Burst out, ing.
We burst out laughing.
We burst out laughing.
In virtue of.
In virtue of.
In virtue of her age, she could board the plane first.
In virtue of her age, she could board the plane first.
Derive A from B.
Derive A from B.
We can derive advantage from this choice.
We can derive advantage from this choice.
Nonetheless.
Nonetheless.
I love him nonetheless for his faults.
I love him nonetheless for his faults.
Fall in love with.
Fall in love with.
Andy fell in love with Helen last year.
Andy fell in love with Helen last year.
A minute.
A minute.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Look back, on.
Look back, on.
Look back on the past.
Look back on the past.
Leave a lot to be desired.
Leave a lot to be desired.
The results left a lot to be desired.
The results left a lot to be desired.
Be accustomed to.
Be accustomed to.
She is accustomed to rising early.
She is accustomed to rising early.
The number of.
The number of.
We need to count the number of papers.
We need to count the number of papers.
At first.
At first.
At first it is difficult.
At first it is difficult.
Even if.
Even if.
I'll go out even if it rains.
I'll go out even if it rains.
Be indifferent to.
Be indifferent to.
My classmates are indifferent to fashion.
My classmates are indifferent to fashion.
As, please.
As, please.
Do as you please.
Do as you please.
Be keen on.
Be keen on.
He is keen on science.
He is keen on science.
Settle out of court.
Settle out of court.
How much would I have to pay you to agree to settle out of court?
How much would I have to pay you to agree to settle out of court?
Come back.
Come back.
Our manager will come back later.
Our manager will come back later.
At hand.
At hand.
The Sakura festival is near at hand.
The Sakura festival is near at hand.
All have to do is, to.
All have to do is, to.
All you have to do is know where you are going.
All you have to do is know where you are going.
In regard to.
In regard to.
We had many problems in regard to quality control.
We had many problems in regard to quality control.
At least.
At least.
I should pay at least 500 yen for the ticket.
I should pay at least 500 yen for the ticket.
Be busy, ing.
Be busy, ing.
The students are busy preparing for the examination.
The students are busy preparing for the examination.
Put an end to.
Put an end to.
The lawyer put an end to human rights violations.
The lawyer put an end to human rights violations.
On time.
On time.
Arrive on time.
Arrive on time.
Be subject to.
Be subject to.
We are subject to the laws of our country.
We are subject to the laws of our country.
A pair of.
A pair of.
I knit a pair of socks today.
I knit a pair of socks today.
For instance.
For instance.
For instance, we offer a gift such as cards and cups.
For instance, we offer a gift such as cards and cups.
Put into practice.
Put into practice.
A movie company put a plan into practice.
A movie company put a plan into practice.
Convince, to.
Convince, to.
She convinced my father to branch out on his own.
She convinced my father to branch out on his own.
Make out.
Make out.
Did you make out what he said?
Did you make out what he said?
Bring, up.
Bring, up.
My parents decided to bring me up the best way they could.
My parents decided to bring me up the best way they could.
So.
So.
I was born in London. So was I.
I was born in London. So was I.
Be used to.
Be used to.
He is used to traveling.
He is used to traveling.
Have an eye for.
Have an eye for.
The professor has an eye for fine art.
The professor has an eye for fine art.
What we call.
What we call.
He is what we call a genius.
He is what we call a genius.
Take, in.
Take, in.
Don't be taken in by a smooth talker.
Don't be taken in by a smooth talker.
Urge, to.
Urge, to.
I urged John to reconsider.
I urged John to reconsider.
Remind day of be.
Remind day of be.
He reminds me of my grandfather.
He reminds me of my grandfather.
If it were not for.
If it were not for.
If it were not for the sun, we could not live at all.
If it were not for the sun, we could not live at all.
Get over.
Get over.
Get over a difficulty.
Get over a difficulty.
By accident.
By accident.
Penicillin was discovered almost by accident.
Penicillin was discovered almost by accident.
Try, on.
Try, on.
Can I try the sweater on?
Can I try the sweater on?
Before long.
Before long.
The board shall know the truth before long.
The board shall know the truth before long.
Make, up.
Make, up.
The politician made the whole things up.
The politician made the whole things up.
At the same time.
At the same time.
They came at the same time.
They came at the same time.
If any.
If any.
Read the report and correct the mistakes, if any.
Read the report and correct the mistakes, if any.
All at once.
All at once.
All at once, she decided to go home.
All at once, she decided to go home.
What a call be.
What a call be.
This is what you call a stereotype.
This is what you call a stereotype.
So, that.
So, that.
The wind was so strong that the door opened.
The wind was so strong that the door opened.
Distract A from B.
Distract A from B.
The prince distracted public attention from the issue.
The prince distracted public attention from the issue.
To the north of.
To the north of.
Mexico is to the north of the United States.
Mexico is to the north of the United States.
As well.
As well.
She is a good shopper and a good bargainer as well.
She is a good shopper and a good bargainer as well.
Devote A to B.
Devote A to B.
The player devoted all his energy to basketball.
The player devoted all his energy to basketball.
The day before yesterday.
The day before yesterday.
My niece took the picture the day before yesterday.
My niece took the picture the day before yesterday.
Refrain from.
Refrain from.
Please refrain from smoking.
Please refrain from smoking.
Be ready to.
Be ready to.
Nintendo is ready to distribute the game app.
Nintendo is ready to distribute the game app.
By land.
By land.
This beach is nearly inaccessible by land.
This beach is nearly inaccessible by land.
Be able to.
Be able to.
Tom's baby is able to walk already.
Tom's baby is able to walk already.
Speak to.
Speak to.
He got an opportunity to speak to Ms. Smith.
He got an opportunity to speak to Ms. Smith.
To say the least.
To say the least.
Last year was eventful to say the least.
Last year was eventful to say the least.
Be late, ing.
Be late, ing.
My mother was late getting dinner ready.
My mother was late getting dinner ready.
Can't, without, ing.
Can't, without, ing.
I can't see this chair without thinking of my father.
I can't see this chair without thinking of my father.
By nature.
By nature.
My mother is by nature a generous person.
My mother is by nature a generous person.
Not, by any means.
Not, by any means.
Her company isn't an ideal workplace by any means.
Her company isn't an ideal workplace by any means.
Go on a trip.
Go on a trip.
I go on a trip abroad.
I go on a trip abroad.
Determine, to.
Determine, to.
People were determined to maintain peace.
People were determined to maintain peace.
Persuade A out of, ing.
Persuade A out of, ing.
I tried to persuade her out of going outside.
I tried to persuade her out of going outside.
Have a hard time, ing.
Have a hard time, ing.
The sales rep had a hard time finding her house.
The sales rep had a hard time finding her house.
All day.
All day.
I was busy all day.
I was busy all day.
Help, to.
Help, to.
My mother helped me to improve my performance.
My mother helped me to improve my performance.
Wipe, off.
Wipe, off.
Wipe the dirt off your clothes.
Wipe the dirt off your clothes.
Not a little.
Not a little.
Jane has earned not a little money.
Jane has earned not a little money.
A and B, respectively.
A and B, respectively.
My sister and I ordered a hamburger and a pizza respectively.
My sister and I ordered a hamburger and a pizza respectively.
Cling to.
Cling to.
Cling to power.
Cling to power.
Come apart.
Come apart.
The plane appeared to come apart in the sky.
The plane appeared to come apart in the sky.
Ahead of.
Ahead of.
I walked along ahead of everyone else.
I walked along ahead of everyone else.
Begin to.
Begin to.
Water began to boil in the kettle.
Water began to boil in the kettle.
To some extent.
To some extent.
My boss agreed to some extent with the idea.
My boss agreed to some extent with the idea.
Not make much difference.
Not make much difference.
It will not make much difference whether you go today or tomorrow.
It will not make much difference whether you go today or tomorrow.
At a loss.
At a loss.
Peter was at a loss for a word.
Peter was at a loss for a word.
Be in need of.
Be in need of.
African people are in need of food.
African people are in need of food.
Now and then.
Now and then.
Now and then I see the actor at the restaurant.
Now and then I see the actor at the restaurant.
Attribute A to B.
Attribute A to B.
He attributed his success to his teacher.
He attributed his success to his teacher.
Be true to.
Be true to.
His translation is quite true to the original.
His translation is quite true to the original.
In the past.
In the past.
He was a teacher in the past.
He was a teacher in the past.
Be familiar with.
Be familiar with.
The engineer is familiar with the software.
The engineer is familiar with the software.
Judging from.
Judging from.
Judging from the look of the sky, it's going to rain.
Judging from the look of the sky, it's going to rain.
On the condition that.
On the condition that.
I can go on the condition that I'm back before noon.
I can go on the condition that I'm back before noon.
See to it that.
See to it that.
See to it that you lock all the doors.
See to it that you lock all the doors.
Take after.
Take after.
Jason's daughter takes after him.
Jason's daughter takes after him.
Exclude A from B.
Exclude A from B.
My boss excluded the employee from the members.
My boss excluded the employee from the members.
Had better.
Had better.
I had better go home now.
I had better go home now.
For the last.
For the last.
I've been working overseas for the last 2 years.
I've been working overseas for the last 2 years.
In search of.
In search of.
The parent bird left the nest in search of food.
The parent bird left the nest in search of food.
Inform A of B.
Inform A of B.
Mr. Brown informed me of his safe arrival.
Mr. Brown informed me of his safe arrival.
Due to.
Due to.
The event was postponed due to the storm.
The event was postponed due to the storm.
View A as B.
View A as B.
The teacher views his advice as valuable.
The teacher views his advice as valuable.
Be convinced of.
Be convinced of.
I am convinced of his innocence.
I am convinced of his innocence.
Such A as B.
Such A as B.
I wouldn't give a gift to such a man as him.
I wouldn't give a gift to such a man as him.
Have, in common.
Have, in common.
They have nothing in common.
They have nothing in common.
In case of.
In case of.
In case of emergency, the shutters will close.
In case of emergency, the shutters will close.
It goes without saying that.
It goes without saying that.
It goes without saying that study is important.
It goes without saying that study is important.
Be capable of.
Be capable of.
This computer is capable of storing massive data.
This computer is capable of storing massive data.
Used to.
Used to.
I used to go to the restaurant.
I used to go to the restaurant.
In order.
In order.
Everything seems to be in order.
Everything seems to be in order.
One another.
One another.
Friends should help one another.
Friends should help one another.
Be equivalent to.
Be equivalent to.
$1 is equivalent to 85 yen now.
$1 is equivalent to 85 yen now.
In detail.
In detail.
Could you tell me in more detail?
Could you tell me in more detail?
Happen to.
Happen to.
I happened to see her at the convenience store.
I happened to see her at the convenience store.
See A as B.
See A as B.
The student saw the person as an enemy.
The student saw the person as an enemy.
Would rather, that.
Would rather, that.
She would rather you hadn't told him the truth.
She would rather you hadn't told him the truth.
Approve of.
Approve of.
The doctor approved of the plan.
The doctor approved of the plan.
Hurry up.
Hurry up.
My mother is always telling me to hurry up.
My mother is always telling me to hurry up.
Get rid of.
Get rid of.
The victim tried to get rid of a feeling of insecurity.
The victim tried to get rid of a feeling of insecurity.
Make a promise.
Make a promise.
You made a promise, didn't you?
You made a promise, didn't you?
In which case.
In which case.
He may be late, in which case we will wait.
He may be late, in which case we will wait.
Make oneself heard.
Make oneself heard.
I couldn't make myself heard on the noisy street.
I couldn't make myself heard on the noisy street.
Either A or B.
Either A or B.
You can choose either apple or banana.
You can choose either apple or banana.
As for.
As for.
As for Japan, exports have increased.
As for Japan, exports have increased.
Take off.
Take off.
I take off my coat.
I take off my coat.
As possible.
As possible.
I am willing to support you as far as possible.
I am willing to support you as far as possible.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day my grandmother takes a nap.
Every day my grandmother takes a nap.
A point of view.
A point of view.
Look at the problem from a different point of view.
Look at the problem from a different point of view.
A little bit.
A little bit.
I can speak English a little bit.
I can speak English a little bit.
Make a speech.
Make a speech.
President of the United States will make a speech.
President of the United States will make a speech.
Go without.
Go without.
I had to go without food for weeks.
I had to go without food for weeks.
There is no use ing.
There is no use ing.
There is no use crying over spilled milk.
There is no use crying over spilled milk.
Resolve to.
Resolve to.
I resolved to learn something new this year.
I resolve to learn something new this year.
Go on.
Go on.
Let's go on to the next page.
Let's go on to the next page.
Make up for.
Make up for.
I'd like to make up for my being late by giving you an apple.
I'd like to make up for my being late by giving you an apple.
At the worst.
At the worst.
At worst, the president will go to jail.
At worst, the president will go to jail.
The same may as be.
The same may as be.
This machine can keep the same speed as the car.
This machine can keep the same speed as the car.
Refer to.
Refer to.
Please refer to the following.
Please refer to the following.
At last.
At last.
At last, the band members appeared on the stage.
At last, the band members appeared on the stage.
Work late.
Work late.
I can't work late today.
I can't work late today.
It is no use ing.
It is no use ing.
It is no use trying to persuade him.
It is no use trying to persuade him.
On the other hand.
On the other hand.
Tom likes math. On the other hand, John likes pea.
Tom likes math. On the other hand, John likes pea.
It is that.
It is that.
It was so dark outside that she was scared.
It was so dark outside that she was scared.
Look at.
Look at.
Look at the picture on the wall.
Look at the picture on the wall.
Back and forth.
Back and forth.
He walked back and forth.
He walked back and forth.
Free of.
Free of.
It's good to walk in the park free of litter.
It's good to walk in the park free of litter.
Fill in.
Fill in.
Should I fill it in now?
Should I fill it in now?
Be unwilling to.
Be unwilling to.
Unwilling to cooperate.
Unwilling to cooperate.
A called bee.
A called bee.
The holiday period called Oban is approaching.
The holiday period called Oban is approaching.
By bus.
By bus.
I'm considering going by taxi.
I'm considering going by taxi.
Go back.
Go back.
It's time to go back home.
It's time to go back home.
As far as is concerned.
As far as is concerned.
As far as I'm concerned, politics are not interesting.
As far as I'm concerned, politics are not interesting.
Search A for B.
Search A for B.
I searched the bathroom for a soap.
I searched the bathroom for a soap.
Such a, that.
Such a, that.
The damage was such that it would cost thousands to repair.
The damage was such that it would cost thousands to repair.
Shake hands with.
Shake hands with.
Shake hands with me.
Shake hands with me.
Avoid, ing.
Avoid, ing.
My wife avoid eating foods fried in oil.
My wife avoid eating foods fried in oil.
Would like to.
Would like to.
I would like to attend the next workshop.
I would like to attend the next workshop.
Ascend the throne.
Ascend the throne.
William ascended the throne 2 years ago.
William ascended the throne 2 years ago.
For free.
For free.
You can get a coffee for free.
You can get a coffee for free.
May well.
May well.
You may well say that.
You may well say that.
Be equal to.
Be equal to.
You are equal to him in intelligence.
You are equal to him in intelligence.
Do nothing but.
Do nothing but.
He could do nothing but watch.
He could do nothing but watch.
Speaking of.
Speaking of.
Speaking of Mary, where is she?
Speaking of Mary, where is she?
Reach.
Reach.
Finally, I reached the top of the mountain.
Finally, I reached the top of the mountain.
Far away.
Far away.
The restaurant is far away from our school.
The restaurant is far away from our school.
A is to B what C is to D.
A is to B what C is to D.
Rice is to Asians what wheat is to Europeans.
Rice is to Asians what wheat is to Europeans.
Simply because.
Simply because.
I work simply because I like to work.
I work simply because I like to work.
Make it.
Make it.
My friend couldn't make it in business.
My friend couldn't make it in business.
A few.
A few.
There are a few apples in the basket.
There are a few apples in the basket.
What about?
What about?
What about this problem?
What about this problem?
Provided that.
Provided that.
I was allowed to go off by myself provided that I promised to be careful.
I was allowed to go off by myself provided that I promised to be careful.
At present.
At present.
There are no job openings at present.
There are no job openings at present.
On the increase.
On the increase.
Transactions in the bond market have been on the increase.
Transactions in the bond market have been on the increase.
Go by.
Go by.
Years go by so fast.
Years go by so fast.
Seem to.
Seem to.
You seem to be really happy.
You seem to be really happy.
Not quite.
Not quite.
My wife was not quite free of housework.
My wife was not quite free of housework.
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time, there was a beautiful princess.
Once upon a time, there was a beautiful princess.
Make believe.
Make believe.
Let's make believe we are Indians.
Let's make believe we are Indians.
What do you think of?
What do you think of?
What do you think of that painting?
What do you think of that painting?
For the first time.
For the first time.
My mother drove a car for the first time.
My mother drove a car for the first time.
Insist on.
Insist on.
She insists on her innocence.
She insists on her innocence.
Vote for.
Vote for.
I voted for the candidate.
I voted for the candidate.
Be apt to.
Be apt to.
I am apt to forget my password.
I am apt to forget my password.
How to.
How to.
I don't know how to wear the costume.
I don't know how to wear the costume.
At best.
At best.
He will get an average mark at best.
He will get an average mark at best.
This is where.
This is where.
This is where you can smoke.
This is where you can smoke.
In the world.
In the world.
What in the world was she thinking?
What in the world was she thinking?
Persuade into, ing.
Persuade into, ing.
My wife tried to persuade me into buying a house.
My wife tried to persuade me into buying a house.
Rob A of B.
Rob A of B.
3 men robbed her of all her money.
3 men robbed her of all her money.
Why don't you?
Why don't you?
Why don't you try the new app?
Why don't you try the new app?
Attend to.
Attend to.
We should attend to their needs.
We should attend to their needs.
Bring A home to B.
Bring A home to B.
Talks with him bring home to me his self-confidence.
Talks with him bring home to me his self-confidence.
Make sense.
Make sense.
Your answer does not make sense.
Your answer does not make sense.
Turn off.
Turn off.
Turn the light off when you leave the room.
Turn the light off when you leave the room.
Look into.
Look into.
We should look into that possibility.
We should look into that possibility.
Carry out.
Carry out.
After reviewing the plan, Bill will carry it out.
After reviewing the plan, Bill will carry it out.
Out loud.
Out loud.
He laughed out loud.
He laughed out loud.
Be aware of.
Be aware of.
The girl is not aware of my standing behind her.
The girl is not aware of my standing behind her.
In addition to.
In addition to.
In addition to good health, he has a good brain.
In addition to good health, he has a good brain.
No matter how.
No matter how.
No matter how cold it is, I like winter.
No matter how cold it is, I like winter.
As is often the case, with.
As is often the case, with.
Chris was late, as is often the case with him.
Chris was late, as is often the case with him.
Can tell, that.
Can tell, that.
You can tell that winter is approaching.
You can tell that winter is approaching.
Compensate for.
Compensate for.
Nothing can compensate for the loss of one's health.
Nothing can compensate for the loss of one's health.
Amount to.
Amount to.
His debts amount to 100,000 yen.
His debts amount to 100,000 yen.
Other than.
Other than.
I don't need anything other than that.
I don't need anything other than that.
Way of, ing.
Way of, ing.
She knows the way of maximizing the efficiency.
She knows the way of maximizing the efficiency.
By cash.
By cash.
Can I pay for that by cash?
Can I pay for that by cash?
Be satisfied with.
Be satisfied with.
I'm satisfied with their email support.
I'm satisfied with their email support.
Apologize to A for B.
Apologize to A for B.
I apologize to her for being late.
I apologize to her for being late.
Earn one's living.
Earn one's living.
He works hard to earn his living.
He works hard to earn his living.
Say to oneself.
Say to oneself.
She said to herself, I can win the game.
She said to herself, I can win the game.
Would you mind, ing?
Would you mind, ing?
Would you mind calling back later?
Would you mind calling back later?
Is because.
Is because.
The reason why I love swimming is because it's fun.
The reason why I love swimming is because it's fun.
Every other.
Every other.
This magazine comes out every other week.
This magazine comes out every other week.
This, that is why.
This, that is why.
I was born in LA and that's why they call me Loss.
I was born in LA and that's why they call me Loss.
Let a no be.
Let a no be.
She should let the class know what happened.
She should let the class know what happened.
Load a with b.
Load a with b.
Andrew loaded the cart with food.
Andrew loaded the cart with food.
Have been to.
Have been to.
I have been to France.
I have been to France.
Keep one's fingers crossed.
Keep one's fingers crossed.
Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Right away.
Right away.
Could you come right away?
Could you come right away?
I suppose.
I suppose.
I suppose he will not come.
I suppose he will not come.
At large.
At large.
A suspect is at large.
A suspect is at large.
Appear to have.
Appear to have.
The kids appear to have run away from home.
The kids appear to have run away from home.
Clear one's throat.
Clear one's throat.
A woman sitting nearby cleared her throat.
A woman sitting nearby cleared her throat.
By oneself.
By oneself.
I could never have done this by myself.
I could never have done this by myself.
Respond to.
Respond to.
The patient does not respond to treatment.
The patient does not respond to treatment.
Drop by.
Drop by.
Please drop by anytime.
Please drop by any time.
All day long.
All day long.
I waited her all day long.
I waited her all day long.
Ask, if.
Ask, if.
I didn't ask you if it would fit.
I didn't ask you if it would fit.
Deal with.
Deal with.
The government needs to deal with a dwindling population.
The government needs to deal with a dwindling population.
In spite of.
In spite of.
I laughed in spite of myself.
I laughed in spite of myself.
Set off.
Set off.
Grace and Roy set off to see their relatives in Italy.
Grace and Roy set off to see their relatives in Italy.
Quite a few.
Quite a few.
He has quite a few friends.
He has quite a few friends.
No less than.
No less than.
He has no less than 12 children.
He has no less than 12 children.
Whether, or.
Whether, or.
We listen to feedback whether it's good or bad.
We listen to feedback whether it's good or bad.
Be accustomed to.
Be accustomed to.
Our manager is accustomed to customer complaints.
Our manager is accustomed to customer complaints.
Urge a to.
Urge a to.
I was urged to publish my autobiography.
I was urged to publish my autobiography.
Under circumstances.
Under circumstances.
Mails are delivered under all circumstances.
Mails are delivered under all circumstances.
Continue to.
Continue to.
We continued to look into the issue.
We continued to look into the issue.
To say nothing of.
To say nothing of.
He can afford to buy a house, to say nothing of a car.
He can afford to buy a house, to say nothing of a car.
It's a pity, that.
It's a pity, that.
It is a pity that you were not here.
It is a pity that you were not here.
Think nothing of.
Think nothing of.
The pitcher would think nothing of a little rain.
The pitcher would think nothing of a little rain.
Share A with B.
Share A with B.
Our client shared the information with us.
Our client shared the information with us.
In terms of.
In terms of.
In terms of culture, China is different from Japan.
In terms of culture, China is different from Japan.
Less than.
Less than.
Less than 2 hours.
Less than 2 hours.
Define A as B.
Define A as B.
He defined the terror as a new threat to the school.
He defined the terror as a new threat to the school.
Leave, alone.
Leave, alone.
Let's leave her alone.
Let's leave her alone.
Seem to have.
Seem to have.
We seem to have overlooked.
We seem to have overlooked.
To tell the truth.
To tell the truth.
To tell the truth, I don't wear the hat she picked out.
To tell the truth, I don't wear the hat she picked out.
Conventional wisdom.
Conventional wisdom.
He overturned conventional wisdom.
He overturned conventional wisdom.
Carry on, with.
Carry on, with.
The researchers carried on with their experiment.
The researchers carried on with their experiment.
Rather than.
Rather than.
She is a singer rather than an actress.
She is a singer rather than an actress.
In time.
In time.
I made it to the party in time.
I made it to the party in time.
Be eager to.
Be eager to.
Joshua is eager to go to Spain.
Joshua is eager to go to Spain.
To put it briefly.
To put it briefly.
To put it briefly, he lacks musical ability.
To put it briefly, he lacks musical ability.
For fear that.
For fear that.
She is on a diet for fear that she will put on weight.
She is on a diet for fear that she will put on weight.
The fact is that.
The fact is that.
The fact is that I just don't love you anymore.
The fact is that I just don't love you anymore.
Take the trouble to.
Take the trouble to.
You need not take the trouble to go there.
You need not take the trouble to go there.
Mean to.
Mean to.
I mean to study Chinese, but I never seem to find time.
I mean to study Chinese, but I never seem to find time.
As to.
As to.
They said nothing as to when they would come.
They said nothing as to when they would come.
Reach for.
Reach for.
She reached for the book in the shelf.
She reached for the book in the shelf.
In common with.
In common with.
We have a great deal in common with each other.
We have a great deal in common with each other.
Starting.
Starting.
I am on vacation, starting today.
I'm on vacation, starting today.
The moment that.
The moment that.
He was here at the moment of the explosion.
He was here at the moment of the explosion.
Regard A as B.
Regard A as B.
I regard him as an enemy.
I regard him as an enemy.
A variety of.
A variety of.
Our company produces a variety of souvenir items.
Our company produces a variety of souvenir items.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
I'm not much use anymore.
I'm not much use anymore.
From viewpoint.
From viewpoint.
Interpret from a different viewpoint.
Interpret from a different viewpoint.
Cease to.
Cease to.
He told us to cease talking.
He told us to cease talking.
Put out.
Put out.
Put the idea out of your head.
Put the idea out of your head.
In contrast.
In contrast.
She seemed happy in contrast to the man.
She seemed happy in contrast to the man.
Make the best of.
Make the best of.
My grandfather made the best of a bad situation.
My grandfather made the best of a bad situation.
Set in.
Set in.
I'll get the medicine before influenza sets in.
I'll get the medicine before influenza sets in.
Leave behind.
Leave behind.
Don't leave me behind.
Don't leave me behind.
I wonder if you could.
I wonder if you could.
I wonder if I could get you to take my photo.
I wonder if I could get you to take my photo.
Be superior to.
Be superior to.
Her car is superior to that one.
Her car is superior to that one.
Be preoccupied with.
Be preoccupied with.
He is preoccupied with something else.
He is preoccupied with something else.
Lay off.
Lay off.
The company laid her off last month.
The company laid her off last month.
Not bother to.
Not bother to.
Do not bother to knock on the door.
Do not bother to knock on the door.
It can't be helped.
It can't be helped.
He arrived late due to rain. It can't be helped.
He arrived late due to rain. It can't be helped.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Their performance was not good at all.
Their performance was not good at all.
Ask for.
Ask for.
Our leader asked for a detailed report on the issue.
Our leader asked for a detailed report on the issue.
Require to.
Require to.
We require applicants to apply through our website.
We require applicants to apply through our website.
Lion.
Lion.
The trouble may lie in the battery.
The trouble may lie in the battery.
Along with.
Along with.
Would you come along with us?
Would you come along with us?
Notify A of B.
Notify A of B.
My doctor notified me of the risk of the operation.
My doctor notified me of the risk of the operation.
Look in the eye.
Look in the eye.
When I met him, he looked me in the eye.
When I met him, he looked me in the eye.
This, that is how.
This, that is how.
This is how the accident occurred.
This is how the accident occurred.
Tell A from B.
Tell A from B.
I can't tell a good wine from a bad one.
I can't tell a good wine from a bad one.
In other words.
In other words.
In other words, he is diligent.
In other words, he is diligent.
So that.
So that.
Come closer so that I can see your face.
Come closer so that I can see your face.
Hope for.
Hope for.
I hope for your success.
I hope for your success.
And so forth.
And so forth.
Don't forget to buy milk, eggs, butter, and so forth.
Don't forget to buy milk, eggs, butter, and so forth.
If, should.
If, should.
If anything should happen, please take care of gone.
If anything should happen, please take care of gone.
Kind of.
Kind of.
She is a kind of singer.
She is a kind of singer.
Stand up.
Stand up.
Don't stand up.
Don't stand up.
Aside from.
Aside from.
Aside from bags, caps and shirts are also displayed.
Aside from bags, caps and shirts are also displayed.
Have nothing to do with.
Have nothing to do with.
I have nothing to do with this accident.
I have nothing to do with this accident.
Not always.
Not always.
The rich are not always happy.
The rich are not always happy.
Come to a conclusion.
Come to a conclusion.
I urged him to come to a conclusion on this issue.
I urged him to come to a conclusion on this issue.
Talk out of, ing.
Talk out of, ing.
Bob managed to talk Nick out of joining the circus.
Bob managed to talk Nick out of joining the circus.
In any case.
In any case.
In any case, you are the only one who can take over my business.
In any case, you are the only one who can't take over my business.
Scores of.
Scores of.
I've heard this story scores of times.
I've heard this story scores of times.
Keep off.
Keep off.
Keep off the grass.
Keep off the grass.
Pass a sentence on.
Pass a sentence on.
Pass a sentence on the defendant.
Pass a sentence on the defendant.
Differ from, to.
Differ from, to.
Customs differ from one country to another.
Customs differ from one country to another.
Agree with.
Agree with.
I agree with that.
I agree with that.
Not only A but also B.
Not only A but also B.
Steve took not only a pencil but also a paper.
Steve took not only a pencil but also a paper.
By car.
By car.
I go to school by car.
I go to school by car.
Provide A with B.
Provide A with B.
Our tour guide provided us with a book.
Our tour guide provided us with a book.
One of.
One of.
He is one of the best singers in New York.
He is one of the best singers in New York.
Both A and B.
Both A and B.
Both mother and baby are doing well.
Both mother and baby are doing well.
And the like.
And the like.
Town was damaged by earthquakes and the like.
Town was damaged by earthquakes and the like.
Place emphasis on.
Place emphasis on.
The principal placed emphasis on school safety.
The principal placed emphasis on school safety.
Some A, others B.
Some A, others B.
Some people like science, and others like math.
Some people like science, and others like math.
Come along.
Come along.
Come along this way.
Come along this way.
On behalf of.
On behalf of.
I would like to convey my gratitude to you on behalf of my company.
I would like to convey my gratitude to you on behalf of my company.
Take place.
Take place.
That will take place during winter this year.
That will take place during winter this year.
Die of.
Die of.
Our president died of lung cancer.
Our president died of lung cancer.
On the grounds that.
On the grounds that.
He resigned on the grounds that he was ill.
He resigned on the grounds that he was ill.
Talk about.
Talk about.
Let's talk about global warming.
Let's talk about global warming.
Break up.
Break up.
My friend broke up with her boyfriend yesterday.
My friend broke up with her boyfriend yesterday.
When it comes to.
When it comes to.
She enjoys dark colors when it comes to fashion.
She enjoys dark colors when it comes to fashion.
Be based on.
Be based on.
Her theory is based on careful research.
Her theory is based on careful research.
Donate A to B.
Donate A to B.
She donated $1 million to the Red Cross.
She donated $1 million to the Red Cross.
Grab, by the.
Grab, by the.
He grabbed me by the collar.
He grabbed me by the collar.
A such as B.
A such as B.
Man such as Brian is sure to succeed.
Man such as Brian is sure to succeed.
At the moment.
At the moment.
She is out at the moment.
She is out at the moment.
An average of.
An average of.
An average of 20 people visit here each month.
An average of 20 people visit here each month.
Owing to.
Owing to.
We could not play owing to the rain.
We could not play owing to the rain.
No matter.
No matter.
No matter who looked, I was miserable at that time.
No matter who looked, I was miserable at that time.
Grow up.
Grow up.
When she grew up, she became a doctor.
When she grew up, she became a doctor.
Once again.
Once again.
Could you repeat that once again?
Could you repeat that once again?
Be determined to.
Be determined to.
He is determined to go to China.
He is determined to go to China.
Think of A as B.
Think of A as B.
I don't think of myself as cute.
I don't think of myself as cute.
As opposed to.
As opposed to.
The training developed speed as opposed to strength.
The training develops speed as opposed to strength.
Participate in.
Participate in.
Why don't you participate in class?
Why don't you participate in class?
So far as, is concerned.
So far as, is concerned.
So far as I'm concerned, swimming is not fun.
So far as I'm concerned, swimming is not fun.
On terms with.
On terms with.
Students are on first-name terms with each other.
Students are on first-name terms with each other.
As a matter of fact.
As a matter of fact.
As a matter of fact, he is a year older than I am.
As a matter of fact, he is a year older than I am.
In the event of.
In the event of.
In the event of rain, the game will not be held.
In the event of rain, the game will not be held.
Chances are, that.
Chances are, that.
Chances are that I will be late for work.
Chances are that I will be late for work.
That of.
That of.
The population of NY is smaller than that of Tokyo.
The population of NY is smaller than that of Tokyo.
I've been told that.
I've been told that.
I've been told that the meeting would start soon.
I've been told that the meeting would start soon.
Get to.
Get to.
Can you get him to call me?
Can you get him to call me?
For the sake of.
For the sake of.
Rainforests were destroyed for the sake of profits.
Rainforests were destroyed for the sake of profits.
If possible.
If possible.
Could you send me the picture, if possible?
Could you send me the picture, if possible?
Long ago.
Long ago.
The operation was discontinued long ago.
The operation was discontinued long ago.
Yield to.
Yield to.
You must not yield to temptation.
You must not yield to temptation.
Presume A to be B.
Presume A to be B.
The police officers presume him to be dangerous.
The police officers presume him to be dangerous.
For that matter.
For that matter.
I don't eat pork, and for that matter, I hate it.
I don't eat pork, and for that matter, I hate it.
That is.
That is.
She came last Monday, that is, September 5th.
She came last Monday, that is, September 5th.
Talk A into B.
Talk A into B.
Bob is going to talk father into buying a new car.
Bob is going to talk father into buying a new car.
As, so long as.
As, so long as.
You can stay here as long as you keep quiet.
You can stay here as long as you keep quiet.
So to speak.
So to speak.
Brian is, so to speak, a grown-up baby.
Brian is, so to speak, a grown-up baby.
A great number of.
A great number of.
A great number of people.
A great number of people.
In fact.
In fact.
In fact, he loves Mary.
In fact, he loves Mary.
By a wide margin.
By a wide margin.
The ruling party beat the opposition in the election by a wide margin.
The ruling party beat the opposition in the election by a wide margin.
Object to.
Object to.
Do you object to shaking hands with me?
Do you object to shaking hands with me?
Be at a loss.
Be at a loss.
I was at a loss for words.
I was at a loss for words.
Come to light.
Come to light.
It came to light that he was cheating at the test.
It came to light that he was cheating at the test.
Be going to.
Be going to.
I'm going to buy a plane ticket.
I'm going to buy a plane ticket.
For a while.
For a while.
Would you mind holding for a while?
Would you mind holding for a while?
Keep, ing.
Keep, ing.
Keep fighting.
Keep fighting.
Every other day.
Every other day.
He called her every other day.
He called her every other day.
Take, apart.
Take, apart.
Can you take this camera apart and repair it?
Can you take this camera apart and repair it?
How do you like?
How do you like?
How do you like your apartment?
How do you like your apartment?
As long as.
As long as.
As long as I'm here, you don't have to cook meals.
As long as I'm here, you don't have to cook meals.
Cut off.
Cut off.
I cut him off halfway through his story.
I cut him off halfway through his story.
Keep away from.
Keep away from.
Please keep away from my room.
Please keep away from my room.
Burst into tears.
Burst into tears.
Burst into tears for no apparent reason.
Burst into tears for no apparent reason.
Make use of.
Make use of.
Our boss makes good use of time.
Our boss makes good use of time.
Out of place.
Out of place.
He felt out of place in the kitchen.
He felt out of place in the kitchen.
As good as.
As good as.
The job is as good as finished.
The job is as good as finished.
The others.
The others.
We have 4 cars, one is red and the others are blue.
We have 4 cars, one is red and the others are blue.
Be involved in.
Be involved in.
I am involved in the volunteer work.
I am involved in the volunteer work.
More than.
More than.
A time period of more than a year.
A time period of more than a year.
They say that.
They say that.
They say Tom is diligent.
They say Tom is diligent.
In short.
In short.
In short, he was too honest.
In short, he was too honest.
B as well as A.
B as well as A.
My father can speak English as well as French.
My father can speak English as well as French.
In particular.
In particular.
Do you want anything in particular?
Do you want anything in particular?
After all.
After all.
After all, the two of them are all very much alike.
After all, the two of them are all very much alike.
Not, in the least.
Not, in the least.
Fishing is not interesting in the least.
Fishing is not interesting in the least.
Only because.
Only because.
My father despises him only because he is poor.
My father despises him only because he is poor.
Give birth to.
Give birth to.
My neighbor gave birth to a baby yesterday.
My neighbor gave birth to a baby yesterday.
A little too.
A little too.
That box is a little too small.
That box is a little too small.
Be concerned with.
Be concerned with.
He is concerned with the team management.
He is concerned with the team management.
Come off.
Come off.
A button has come off my coat.
A button has come off my coat.
Bar, from, ing.
Bar, from, ing.
Bar the suspect from leaving the country.
Bar the suspect from leaving the country.
Praise A for B.
Praise A for B.
I won his high praise for my work.
I won his high praise for my work.
Persuade A not to.
Persuade A not to.
Our boss persuaded me not to postpone the project.
Our boss persuaded me not to postpone the project.
Look after.
Look after.
I looked after the new employee.
I looked after the new employee.
By means of.
By means of.
The cables are linked by means of connectors.
The cables are linked by means of connectors.
Half A.
Half A.
The party was held half a year ago.
The party was held half a year ago.
Go away.
Go away.
The suspect has gone away.
The suspect has gone away.
So as to.
So as to.
He hurried so as to catch the train.
He hurried so as to catch the train.
Between A and B.
Between A and B.
The average score was between 50 and 60.
The average score was between 50 and 60.
Just now.
Just now.
I got your mail just now.
I got your mail just now.
Ought not to.
Ought not to.
Such actions ought not to be allowed.
Such actions ought not to be allowed.
By chance.
By chance.
Julia became an actress completely by chance.
Julia became an actress completely by chance.
Be crazy about.
Be crazy about.
Daniel is crazy about Ashley.
Daniel is crazy about Ashley.
Put, together.
Put, together.
Put a team together.
Put a team together.
In advance.
In advance.
Submit the application form in advance.
Submit the application form in advance.
Rely on.
Rely on.
You can rely on me anytime.
You can rely on me anytime.
Stare at.
Stare at.
I kept staring at the site.
I kept staring at the site.
All but.
All but.
There is a remedy for all but death.
There is a remedy for all but death.
Look to A for B.
Look to A for B.
My father always looks to me for help.
My father always looks to me for help.
Pay, A, for B.
Pay, A, for B.
I paid $100 at auction for a bag.
I paid $100 at auction for a bag.
Be thought to.
Be thought to.
It is thought to be a good method.
It is thought to be a good method.
As is often the case.
As is often the case.
As with often the case with kids, he was screaming.
As with often the case with kids, he was screaming.
Be familiar to.
Be familiar to.
Her name is familiar to Japanese people.
Her name is familiar to Japanese people.
Come close to, ing.
Come close to, ing.
My team came close to losing the game.
My team came close to losing the game.
See if.
See if.
Let's see if a workable deal is possible.
Let's see if a workable deal is possible.
On the phone.
On the phone.
My nephew was talking with Kate on the phone.
My nephew was talking with Kate on the phone.
By sea.
By sea.
Please send this by sea.
Please send this by sea.
Put on.
Put on.
He that puts on a public gown, must put off a private person.
He that puts on a public gown, must put off a private person.
After school.
After school.
I play tennis after school.
I play tennis after school.
It has been, since.
It has been, since.
It has been a month since I received your last email.
It has been a month since I received your last email.
Switch, on.
Switch, on.
I switch my computer on every morning.
I switch my computer on every morning.
Be certain, that.
Be certain, that.
I am certain you will pass.
I am certain you will pass.
Go bankrupt.
Go bankrupt.
The company would go bankrupt due to its debts.
The company would go bankrupt due to its debts.
Take, into consideration.
Take, into consideration.
When hiring, we take your experience into consideration.
When hiring, we take your experience into consideration.
Under construction.
Under construction.
Our company building is under construction.
Our company building is under construction.
Do without.
Do without.
She had to do without sweets for a week.
She had to do without sweets for a week.
Be ashamed of.
Be ashamed of.
He is ashamed of what he said.
He is ashamed of what he said.
It seems, that.
It seems, that.
It seems to me that he is right.
It seems to me that he is right.
Be good for.
Be good for.
Fresh fruit is good for your health.
Fresh fruit is good for your health.
From a distance.
From a distance.
That sign is hard to read from a distance.
That sign is hard to read from a distance.
Second to none.
Second to none.
Pablo Picasso is second to none as a painter.
Pablo Picasso is second to none as a painter.
As follows.
As follows.
The teacher explained the rule as follows.
The teacher explained the rule as follows.
Love to.
Love to.
My cousin loves to watch horror movies.
My cousin loves to watch horror movies.
None of S business.
None of S business.
It's none of my business.
It's none of my business.
By the way.
By the way.
By the way, when are you going back home?
By the way, when are you going back home?
From time to time.
From time to time.
My computer crashes from time to time.
My computer crashes from time to time.
Whether or not.
Whether or not.
The actor isn't sure whether or not he can dance.
The actor isn't sure whether or not he can dance.
Translate A into B.
Translate A into B.
Translate English into Japanese.
Translate English into Japanese.
Now that.
Now that.
Now that the exam is over, I feel much relieved.
Now that the exam is over, I feel much relieved.
For the time being.
For the time being.
The money will do for the time being.
The money will do for the time being.
Hold, in high esteem.
Hold, in high esteem.
I hold my wife in high esteem.
I hold my wife in high esteem.
Never, without, ing.
Never, without, ing.
I never see that play without crying.
I never see that play without crying.
Punch, in the face.
Punch, in the face.
The police officer punched the man in the face.
The police officer punched the man in the face.
Sneak out.
Sneak out.
The kids want to sneak out at night.
The kids want to sneak out at night.
Be unable to.
Be unable to.
I was unable to download the Facebook app.
I was unable to download the Facebook app.
Regardless of.
Regardless of.
We employ people regardless of race, age, sex or gender.
We employ people regardless of race, age, sex or gender.
Little by little.
Little by little.
Profits began to show little by little.
Profits began to show little by little.
Watch out, for.
Watch out, for.
Watch out for cars.
Watch out for cars.
Make, out.
Make, out.
I can't make her out at all.
I can't make her out at all.
Do, good.
Do, good.
The book will do you good.
The book will do you good.
Persist in.
Persist in.
He persists in his opinion.
He persists in his opinion.
Prevail over.
Prevail over.
Nothing can prevail over fate.
Nothing can prevail over fate.
Be similar to.
Be similar to.
It is similar to Tom's way.
It is similar to Tom's way.
Once in a while.
Once in a while.
Once in a while she goes to Tokyo.
Once in a while she goes to Tokyo.
So long as.
So long as.
You may go out so long as you come back soon.
You may go out so long as you come back soon.
Provide for.
Provide for.
Anne has a large family to provide for.
Anne has a large family to provide for.
For one thing.
For one thing.
For one thing, I've no money, and for another, I've no leisure.
For one thing, I've no money, and for another, I've no leisure.
Such as.
Such as.
Alcohol such as beer.
Alcohol such as beer.
Contend with.
Contend with.
We have to contend with violent crime.
We have to contend with violent crime.
Need, ing.
Need, ing.
This TV needs repairing.
This TV needs repairing.
On the one hand.
On the one hand.
On the one hand, her song is popular in Japan.
On the one hand, her song is popular in Japan.
All the time.
All the time.
I ask myself the same question all the time.
I ask myself the same question all the time.
Be interested in.
Be interested in.
The teacher is interested in the research activity.
The teacher is interested in the research activity.
Stop, ing.
Stop, ing.
Will you stop smoking here, please?
Will you stop smoking here, please?
Only two.
Only two.
My friend was only too glad to come with you.
My friend was only too glad to come with you.
Pay heed to.
Pay heed to.
Nobody bothered to pay heed to his request.
Nobody bothered to pay heed to his request.
Have got.
Have got.
I've got a 5-year-old daughter.
I've got a 5-year-old daughter.
The reason why is because.
The reason why is because.
The reason why he got ice was because he wanted.
The reason why he got ice was because he wanted.
Forget to.
Forget to.
My coworker forgot to take the medicine.
My coworker forgot to take the medicine.
Be sure of.
Be sure of.
My mother was sure of my success.
My mother was sure of my success.
As it turned out.
As it turned out.
As it turned out, they got back together again.
As it turned out, they got back together again.
Start to.
Start to.
Let's start to discuss the plan.
Let's start to discuss the plan.
A second.
A second.
Hold on for a second.
Hold on for a second.
Look, ways.
Look, ways.
Listen, look this way.
Listen, look this way.
Take account of.
Take account of.
You must take account of the fact that she is a child.
You must take account of the fact that she is a child.
Begin, ing.
Begin, ing.
The shop will begin taking comments on its website.
The shop will begin taking comments on its website.
If it hadn't been for.
If it hadn't been for.
If it hadn't been for the storm, we would have been in time.
If it hadn't been for the storm, we would have been in time.
A days before be.
A days before be.
I moved 9 days before Christmas.
I moved 9 days before Christmas.
May as well.
May as well.
It's not very far, so you may as well walk.
It's not very far, so you may as well walk.
If were to.
If were to.
If I were to be reborn, I would like to be a bird.
If I were to be reborn, I would like to be a bird.
Be free from.
Be free from.
I am free from work today.
I am free from work today.
Call on.
Call on.
I'll call on you on Monday.
I'll call on you on Monday.
Ought to.
Ought to.
Marriage ought to be a lifelong commitment.
Marriage ought to be a lifelong commitment.
Add a to be.
Add a to be.
I'm going to add a caption to a photo.
I'm going to add a caption to a photo.
And so forth.
And so forth.
I had a good time climbing mountains and so forth.
I had a good time climbing mountains and so forth.
Be content with.
Be content with.
I'm content with my current job.
I'm content with my current job.
Be engaged to.
Be engaged to.
We're engaged to be married.
We're engaged to be married.
Show off.
Show off.
The boy was eager to show off his new bicycle to his friends.
The boy was eager to show off his new bicycle to his friends.
Major in.
Major in.
What do you major in?
What do you major in?
Before.
Before.
I am all for his proposal.
I'm all for his proposal.